7 a.m. Call the meeting to order. Roll call, all members are present. This meeting was posted, the agenda was posted in the office of the county clerk on the 15th of June. Notice was sent to the West Bend Daily News, Express News, WIBD, WMBZ Radio, WTKM Radio, My Community Now, Hartford Times Press, Kewaskum Statesman, Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. We'll have a moment of silent prayer and pledge allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from the May 20th, 2026 meeting. Anybody have any changes or additions? Okay, the minutes will stand as presented. Next item is introduction of canine handler, Deputy Nurkula and canine rider. Is he here?
Dogs just don't like me.
Well, good morning, committee members. Wanted to introduce the newest member of the sheriff's office here, and it's not Deputy Stephen Nurkle has been here with us for 4 years, I just wanted to relay that the position of canine handler is one of extreme dedication, the commitment and training that takes place, the flexibility, the desire. And I just wanted to illustrate that point. So when you're a canine handler, you need to have a take-home squad car because the squad cars are equipped with alarms for temperature, door alarms, and access. So you can't transport your dog to work in your civilian vehicle. It isn't practical. But one of the other requirements that I have is in order to have a take-home squad car, you need to be a county resident to live in the county. The collective bargaining agreement indicates that the deputies can live in basically the adjacent counties. But in order to have a take-home squad car, I thought it was my position has just been I wanted you to be a county resident. Stephen, before becoming the canine handler, owned a home in Sheboygan County. And he desired this position so much that he sold his house to move into Washington County so he could have a take-home squad car and thus be available to take the assignment. So that just kind of describes a lot of dedication and commitment that our staff has at the sheriff's office here. So Ryder is a 2-year-old German Shepherd. He's a multi-purpose canine. He is a narcotics articles tracking and apprehension. He went into service May 6th of this year. I wanted to have him introduced at your first public safety meeting, but it was a little early. Just wanted him to become a little more acclimated because he's not a pet. He is for lack of better terms, a law enforcement tool. So we just want to be a little careful. This is the second canine that we have assigned to patrol. We have canine Razor, who Deputy Kalish is that handler, and if you'd recall, we have a third canine. Our oldest one is Riker. He is assigned to the jail operations, and that's canine officer Ludwig. So we chose to utilize a company out of Canada for our dogs. It's in Ontario, Canada. It's called Working Canine. All of our dogs have come from that breeder and that training facility. Because if the system isn't broke, don't fix it type of thing. And when you hear Canada, you probably think, way up north. But the Latin long might actually surprise you. The longitude or the latitude rather. So if you go up to Neenah, Oshkosh, and go due east, that's actually where the facility is in Ontario. So I just wanted to explain a little bit about the funding for the dog. The cost of the dog itself is about $10,500. There is a $5,000 70-hour training that that Deputy Nurkla went up to the facility or over to the facility to actually train with the dog. The dog spent its first year of its life, or second year, training at the facility. So the dog's been training for a year before we even took possession of it. But what most notably, what I wanted the Public Safety Committee to know, because you kind of are the fiduciary of the sheriff's office, is this dog. So the total cost that training is $5,000, and then there's another about $2,500 for the ballistic vest for the dog. So in total, it's about $18,000 of an investment that the sheriff's office took to add the canine to our staff. The good news is $7,398 of that came from donations that we took for it, and the other $10,601 was drug forfeiture money. So there was no tax levy that was used to add this dog to our fleet, and it's become a great tool. So if you have any questions, myself or Deputy Nurkla is more than happy to answer it. But I thought it was important that you guys see our newest canine.
Thank you. Any members have questions or comments?
I have a question. What does it cost the county to have a dog? Room and board, so to speak.
Well, so that is just part of the dedication of Deputy Nurkla. He takes the dog home with him every day. It's not boarded anywhere. There could be an occasion if he's going on a vacation or something that it could be boarded, but we actually have other staff members. In fact, the canine supervisor, Sergeant Killy, often takes the dogs when they're not available. So there is actually no room and board typically for any of the dogs that we have. They're assigned to the handler 24/7.
I have a question. So, how long are they in service usually, dogs?
It all depends on their health at the end of the day, but hopefully we can get it to 8 years out of them.
Oh, okay. And then where does he go from there? Does he stay home with you?
I guess I don't know what that would be.
Yeah, after the service, after his service life has been is over, yes, the handler certainly has the option to adopt the dog. If you recall, Riker, our oldest dog, we had some medical issues and we wanted to prolong his service life. So what we did is we transferred him over to the jail because it's a little less stressful, less jumping in and out of vehicles. So we have some tactics to extend that service life if we can.
Like that.
I just had a logistical question. Are they on the same shift or are they on different shifts or?
Deputy Nurkla, maybe you could address that.
So we basically have the same working hours our dogs are, but they're rotating shifts. So when I'm off, Deputy Kalish is on. We share one day together, which is Wednesdays, or there would be 2 dogs on during the week.
And I would assume that they get called in when needed as well. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I would assume they get along.
I guess I'm sure they are. My dog is really dog friendly. But we usually don't at trainings and stuff. It's usually one will go for a scenario and then the next dog will go. So we don't really introduce them. But my dog lives with another dog and they get along just fine. So
I heard at one time they're trained in German.
Different kennels train in different languages. Ours is all American language. So.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing them around.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the next item. Item B is Wisconsin Department of Transportation BOTS Traffic Safety Grant. I assume the sheriff's gonna talk about that.
This committee report is probably more information than you wanted to know about Bureau of Transportation safety grants. But really the key takeaway to this is that there are federal highway safety funds that are available, federal funds that local law enforcement can apply to provide law enforcement to local roads. The sheriff's office has not administered this grant for several years. We have taken part in some of them a few years ago. There was a different municipalities would administer the grants. That kind of faded away. And my thought was that these are federal funds that if they're not used by us, they will be used by somebody. I wanted to start kind of small. There's three different areas. There's OWI, speed, and seatbelt. And because we were just getting back into this, I kind of wanted to do a modest request for the grant, which I call it modest, but it's $20,000. But just to give you a comparison, Brown County put in for one last year for $200,000. So like I said, if we don't use it, somebody will. Before I wrote this committee report, I approached the other municipalities to see if there was some interest, if they wanted to also take part in. And I'm pleasantly surprised that several of the local police departments wanted to take part in it as well. So we would kind of act as the administrators of the grant. It has to be done in 4-hour blocks. And typically they want to do it during the 100 deadliest days on the road, which is typically between Memorial Day and Labor Day. And so we'll start, we'd like to start doing that. The grant runs from September to October, but that's kind of the game plan for that. It's still a 25% local match of funding. So it's a 75% total reimbursement on overtime wages from the federal government, state and federal government, and a $25,000 match from local. So that 25% match is $5,000, and it's going to be spread out between the interested police departments and sheriff's offices.
Okay, so I know you're just looking for a consensus on
Yeah,
this,
I guess
yeah,
I would want, because there are some money funds that are a part of this. I just wanted to let the committee know that was my intent to enter into this grant.
I'll ask the first question then. Is $20,000 enough?
It may not be. I was not expecting all the municipalities to be that interested. So next year we certainly could do more than that. We submitted the initial request to the state, who was then going to submit it to the federal. So it might be a little late to ask for more. But knowing that there is more interest and there's other areas, we're going to concentrate on the speed grant right now. But there is the OWI and seatbelt. So maybe next year we could even take part in all three.
I like the idea, collaborating services as well. So anybody else have comments or questions? Supervisor Boss?
So, I agree, we need strong OWI enforcement and speed enforcement. I always get a little iffy on the seatbelt. I don't like the idea of police pulling people over for potential seatbelt violations. Is the general spirit of this that if you're already pulling somebody over and you notice they don't have the seatbelt on, that's when you would do that, or?
So in years past, the seatbelt law was a secondary law, so you could not use that as probable suspicion to pull a vehicle over. So that's exactly how the spirit of the law worked a while ago. That you stop somebody for speeding, and during the course of that, you notice they weren't wearing a seatbelt. The state legislature, however, since then has changed that to a primary law, so it is actually a legal stop just based on that.
I guess philosophically that I'm not the biggest fan of that, so for what that's worth.
Understood.
Anybody else have any comments or questions? Do we have a consensus to move forward, provide support?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number C is discussion on Washington County-wide EMS system.
Good morning,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman, committee members. Just a brief overview of what's transpired since our last public safety meeting. We're continuing to have meetings with our chief electeds, administrators, and fire chiefs, making the tour throughout the county, going to village board meetings, town hall meetings, and village board meetings as well. So I'm scheduled for tomorrow night in Richfield, next Tuesday in Hartford, was in Germantown June 1st, I believe. So continue to make the tour. Good positive reaction, still trying to work through some details and hope to have more detailed information in front of you by at least August. So That's the Gantt chart, if you will, is to put something before you for your consideration by that time. And I'd be happy to entertain any questions that you may have thought of since the presentation, both at Public Safety as well as County Board.
Anybody have any questions at this time? Thank you for the update. Item number D is 2026 Resolution Anti-Crime Plan C.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, committee members, I'm very excited to bring this anti-crime plan C to your attention for consideration and potential approval. I want to first acknowledge my lapse of timing. That's on me, getting it to you so late for consideration and review. We can go point by point if you prefer, or based on the committee report, answer any questions that you may have. It's your preference, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I'm going to ask the committee members if they had time to read through this, like
I did.
Steve had said it came to us a little later than expected, but I guess I'd like to touch myself, anyway, I'd like to touch on some of the funding aspects of it. I mean, I did get a chance to read through it, but I did have some questions on it. Is there anything you wanted to touch on before I ask those questions?
Certainly, I'd like to touch on a few of them, maybe all of them, based on the court fee revenue to address some of the fiscal portion of the questions that you may have. I also have Mr. Dahl here. He is obviously the resident expert and knows where everything is found, but Wisconsin Act 179, if you'll recall, court security was removed from the budget last cycle. We had anticipated on that court fee increase within the previous budget discussions, but decided that it was a little bit too unsure. So we removed that revenue from the last budget. It was passed in April of this year, and we will start receiving those court fee funds in November. So that transitions into what you see with court security being funded in 2027. The drug prosecutor that will be using opioid settlement money. You can see what the assistant district attorney will be focusing on in that regard. It's important to recognize too that in the previous session, well, we're currently in the session, but nothing's going on. So the assembly passed their side of the bill, Justice for All, sent it over to the Senate, and the Senate failed to take it up on their Senate side. That bill actually went to fund assistant district attorneys throughout the state. We were scheduled to receive funding for 2.6 attorneys, and that sounds a little weird, but if you'll recall, the 0.6 funding that the county board decided to approve both last year and again this year is in conjunction with the 0.4 position the current district attorney's office has. So in order to make that a full-time employee, the county board made the decision to fund that position. The Justice for All bill was meant to make all the counties whole with the workload analysis that is done periodically throughout the state and identifying the needs that counties have in the district attorney's office. This district attorney is going to be focused specifically on drug prosecution. And you can see somewhat of a dynamic change within the district attorney's office. The district attorney Bratz has made a focus on, first of all, addressing the backlog that we had when he took office. We were behind by about 500 cases, and he has really drilled down and made some significant headway in that regard. But also, during addressing that backlog, his charging has increased by 25%. So even with the limited staff that he does have, we're making some significant headway, and that vacillates and ties directly into the safe and secure communities that we all have as a strategic priority. So that's the district attorney's office and the ADA that we have. The patrol sergeant, that is not increasing the staffing in the sheriff's office. That is purely transitioning a deputy to the sergeant capacity on second shift. And you can see the historical numbers and where we find ourselves today predicated on anti-crime plan B and the need for that additional supervisory position on the second shift. That's where most of our call volume comes, some critical incidents, significant increase in call volume in that regard. Dispatch pay, I do want to spend a little time on dispatch. I like to refer to dispatch and our emergency communications center as an analogy. They are the central nervous system of our law enforcement, fire and EMS system. Nothing happens if we don't have that personnel sitting in that communication center receiving those calls. When they answer the phone call for 911, it's not, good afternoon, how are you doing? How's your day going? It's 911, what is your emergency? And each and every single one of those dispatchers takes a unique person to do that job. You have to be calm, collected, high stress situations, and they have to have all their ducks in a row every single minute of every single day. It does not close at 4:30 and open up at 8. It's a 24/7 operation. So getting people into the position is one thing. Getting those people that are the right people into those positions is another thing. Our dispatch center and the people that work there, along with everybody associated with law enforcement and public safety in our county, embody, embrace, and execute our core values of integrity, innovation, collaboration, respect. Very, very, very important role within our county. So I just want to make sure that I identify those things regarding our communication center led by just an incredible supervisor, Lieutenant Angie Blair, Captain Kempson, of course, Sheriff Schulteis. And lastly, our radio grants. This has been an ongoing issue since last September when we exhausted that fund. It was taken, our folks throughout the county took advantage of that opportunity and we exhausted that $500,000. And now we are asking the committee to use some of the radio project funding and transition that into our radio grant program. Our radio project is scheduled to be completed this August with field testing and when the corn is up, and so that we can make sure that all of our signals are transmitting appropriately throughout the county. So that's due to wrap up this August.
Thank you for the summary.
Doug? Can I ask a question?
Oh, go ahead.
So do we have all the hurdles crossed now? When that test is done in August, then the whole thing will wrap up? There's all the equipment's been tested, it's and so on and so
We're
forth.
currently doing that as we speak. In fact, we have a weekly meeting every Wednesday. And we go through those finer points, but we're coming to an end. I'm appreciative of GenCom and the individuals, our consultant that works alongside us, Dennis Buchholz, and so they're working very hard. Johnny Tang, all the Johnny Tranberg, I should say, little Johnny and Big John. So they work seamlessly together. It's just sometimes we have a delay in the orders and radios coming in and microphones coming in. But we do have to wait for the corn to grow at its highest peak, and that's usually in August. So that's when we hope to have everything dialed up, switches on, and we can move forward and the radio project be done and off and sailing.
Thank you.
Not all the equipment's been installed yet.
Not all of it, no.
Yeah. Okay, I'll start the conversation. I want to say that I support all of these proposals. I think probably most of us here do, without question. One thing I've stated several times before, and I'm going to state it again, is I think that the county staff is the most important asset to this county. The county doesn't run as smooth as it does without good quality staff. So compensating them appropriately is one of my number one priorities. And I've said that last budget time too. I don't want the budget balanced on the backs of county employees. So I appreciate that being taken care of here and keeping those, quality employees here. Most of these committee reports have you know, the fiscal effect and the funding source, but I could not find where that difference, with the remaining, you know, the biannual effect is 189,000 split up between the 2 years. So could somebody answer that? Because I don't know, based on this report, unless I'm missing it somewhere, where that's coming from.
Sure. So at the very end of the packet, there's a little table. It's titled Anti-Crime Plan C funding. It kind of breaks out each of these categories, kind of in the same order as the committee report. The very bottom kind of shows the total. The 26 impact 85,000, 27 impact 104,000. Essentially, what that represents across this biennium is an impact to the general fund, a sort of a deficit or a challenge, if you will. There are additional kind of revenue sources at play that we could see yet this year, but we're not banking on anything in this report. Another takeaway from this table, if you look in the 2027 column, 104,000 at kind of the bottom right corner there, that represents essentially the tax levy challenge moving into 2028. So much of this is covered with revenue sources and funding sources, but there is a bit of a challenge moving into 2028. So I wanted to point that out as well on here.
Okay. A follow-up question, I guess, is the money from this year, where is that expected to come from? The 85,000?
The 85,000 would come from the general fund.
Okay. About a year ago, we were arguing about $13,000 for the court security, and now we got 85,000 proposed here, so that's why I'm questioning where it's coming from. I mean, I support it, it doesn't say where it's coming from in the report, so
Sure.
that's why I asked the
Okay.
question. Anybody else have any questions? Go ahead, Supervisor Bossert.
What's the current general fund balance and how does that relate to our policy for what we should have for general fund balance?
Today, I just talked to the finance director yesterday. Today, the general fund currently sits about $500,000 above. So essentially, if you remember the property tax relief fund, essentially that has about $500,000 in it today. Meaning we're above, so our 12 to 16% threshold of expenditures, we're above that by $500,000.
All right. So basically, really what we're doing is we're tapping into the property tax relief fund.
Essentially, that's a way
Okay.
to look at it.
And that's what that's really for.
Yes, yeah.
All right.
Anybody else have any questions, comments? Go ahead. Chairman
Thank you,
Flake.
Mr. Chairman. So if we start getting some of the fees from court in November, there will be a little bit of spillover, I guess you'd call it. So we have some relief there. And the 336,000 number there is an estimate. Do we think that's a conservative estimate or pretty close?
I'm in contact with the clerk of courts on kind of fine tuning that number. That number comes from some materials the legislature was using as they were deliberating the bill. It had a county by county breakout, and so that's the number that was used in this report. But we're working on kind of fine tuning and tweaking that estimate. So hopefully we get better news on it, but you're also correct about the fact that the fee changes themselves start in November of this year. We're not banking on any of that revenue in this model here, so you're correct to point.
So
that out.
we're a little bit safe. Also, hearing from the previous discussions, our DA is trying of more cases now than before. And if those numbers were based on old figures, then we have even more breathing room there, if you will. So, and I know when we argued the amendments to the budget last fall, these things were some of the items in there that people were looking for. So I agree with Chairman Newman. I strongly support this bill, and I hope we can make it successfully through. Thank you.
So I
Supervisor.
make a motion to approve this.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Bossard, second by Supervisor Berg to approve the resolution in front of us. Any other discussion on that? I have one more question. You want to go first?
I'll just add one other thing too. I don't know if it's the appropriate time to make this suggestion, but if it works out with the Public Safety Committee and the Sheriff's Office, along with Lieutenant Blair, you will be going on a jail tour this morning yet in closed session. I would certainly like to see you all please go through our dispatch center to see how that operates and functions. I think that would be very, very beneficial for you.
Thank you. And I just have a wording question on the resolution. It says that the budget policy and analytics department shall prepare a budget repair resolution in accordance. So do we have to have another resolution for funding this based on that language? On line 42, 43? The way I read that, I just want to make sure I'm understanding a resolution for the resolution, or how was that? Just looking for some clarification on that.
Boundaries, because I know my lanes, but this resolution, as Chief Administration Officer identified, that this would come from property tax relief funds. And I believe what this is referencing is that October, November potential resolution for budget repair purposes.
Yeah, so essentially the changes that are articulated for 26 would happen immediately. The 27 and future will be impacted by a future budget repair kind of resolution that will come to you in the fall, the county board in the fall.
So if I understand it, it's that resolution may involve many other funding, budget repair funding or
That's correct. A
amounts.
number of it could be operational things, you know, we're still talking fire and EMS. Those changes would come with that same resolution as well, sort of a big omnibus kind of package.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. Anybody else have any discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Our next meeting date is July 15th, 2026 at 7 a.m. Next item is we'll entertain a motion to convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.85 for purpose of considering crime prevention and detection, specifically to provide a committee members with a tour of the jail facilities and to review jail security and operations. Motion by Supervisor Pridemore, second by Supervisor Bossert. We'll have a roll call vote. We'll start with Supervisor Pridemore.
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. We'll go into closed session.
Just leave our bags here.